I want us to consider what is involved in having courage. True biblical Christian courage. Courage like we find from the Apostle Paul in his words from a prison in Rome. If you wonder if you are ready for the increasing persecution against biblical morality, against Christian ministry, Philippians 1:12-14 can help. If you want to persevere and you don't want to fear, Paul's example can help us. So Paul here had seen good spiritual outcomes despite bad circumstances. He said that generally in verse 12, and then he gave specific proofs of it in verses 13 and 14. And so just think about this generally from verse 12 with the first point of application, and that is this: consider the faith and love included in courage. I trust you'll see what I mean as we unpack that. But number one, consider the faith and love included in courage. That are included, that are inherent, that are a part of, that are the foundation of courage. If you want Christian courage in your soul, motivating you to steadfast faithfulness in following Christ no matter what, toward undying devotion to serving Christ through whatever comes, then consider the faith and the love that are included in, inherent in courage. Consider that truly Christian courage is fueled and fed, created and sustained, developed and deepened by a biblically informed faith and a biblically informed love. And so Paul, in loving the Lord Jesus, trusting the Lord Jesus, then wanted to follow the Lord Jesus. And all of that informed his courage. That's what I mean by that. You see that? And how that can give you confident hope, eager expectation, joy to think, what is God going to do? If you understand that, then next time you're tempted with fear, next time you're tempted with worry, wondering what good can come now, how can I handle such danger? Consider the faith and love included in courage. Next time you're tempted to whine or wallow in self-pity or grumble or complain, just stop and consider the faith and love that are included in courage. Let Paul's example draw out these realities and move us to consider the faith and love included in courage. And when we do, it does produce amazing fruit by God's grace. It does touch the lives of others. Look at verses 13 and 14. Point number 2. Consider the fruits and lives influenced by courage. First, consider the faith and love included in courage. Secondly, consider the fruits and lives influenced by courage. The fruits that are influenced, that come out, and the lives that are influenced by courage. We covered what goes into courage to develop it, and now we'll look at what comes out of that courage, what results from that courage being lived out, which when we see that, that should further motivate us to want this kind of courage. We've already alluded to some of this, but verse 13 describes the impact on unbelievers, and then verse 14 describes the impact on believers. Look what happened. The fruits of courage in the lives of believers who were impacted by his example. Paul's courage had bolstered other Christians. It had strengthened their faith. It had built them up. It fortified them to speak the word. And that was all by God's grace. Paul didn't take credit for it for his own glory, but he did report that as fruits influenced by his ministry. And he did report in the lives of both believers here and unbelievers that they were touched and transformed by God's work through it all. Church, you can see that the fruit of unbelievers' lives influence in verse 13, and the fruit of believers' lives influence in verse 14. And so that's what I mean in saying, consider the fruits and lives influenced by courage in Paul's situation. And then step from there to think, to consider, to envision, Whatever situation you are in, whatever situation you face, consider what are the fruits and who are the lives that courage would influence here. If you're faithful to the gospel opportunities that God has put in front of you, especially in the midst of opposition, especially in the midst of unpopularity in the culture, what are those lives that would be impacted by you, that would be influenced by your courage?